stole CM Punk's best friend. I took a wise man.
Seth Rollins is making a power play to take control of the WWE universe. The future will run through him, and I'm going to make a power play to get 20,000 subscribers in my quest to quit my day job. How am I going to do that? I'm going to give away this belt right here. That's right, give it away free of charge, free shipping, free everything. How do you win? All you got to do is comment below. We're going to talk about fantasy booking Seth's faction in a second, but right now, you need to comment below. You need to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification. And if you do those three things, maybe give a like, well then, at 20,000 subscribers, you can win this replica. Not a toy, free of charge, free everything, anywhere in the world. So Seth Rollins, he has a good thing going with Bron Breakker and Paul Heyman, and it seems like they're forming Evolution 2.0. And if you're a newer fan, Evolution was a faction of Batista and Randy Orton. They were the future. Ric Flair, who was the past, and Triple H, who was the present.
Ric Flair, the greatest professional wrestler of all time, and all of the things that Ric Flair represents, I am today.
It revolved around Triple H trying to shape his two proteges to be the future of the company.
Dave Batista, unbridled destruction. And Randy Orton is the coal that will be squeezed into the next diamond.
And he did a pretty good job at that, even though he did, eventually turn on them. But that said, what if this wasn't Evolution? What if it was the Four Horsemen?
The Four Horsemen is not just an idea. It's a theme, it's a state of being, it's a state of mind.
Yes, the Four Horsemen are synonymous with elite talent in the world of wrestling. Seth Rollins has his choices to go either Four Horsemen or Evolution, and today we're going to book both factions and see which one would be best for Seth Rollins taking over WWE. We'll start with the Four Horsemen. Four Horsemen, this would be the perfect choice because there was actually a fifth horseman. They had a manager, J.J. Dillon. See, Paul Heyman is part of this mix, and I don't think Paul Heyman should be considered one of the active members. He's the manager. So we have to now book two more people in the Four Horsemen. And if you go back and you look at the Four Horsemen, they were elite, right? They were the best of the best, the cream of the crop.
You have got the cream of the crop.
They were, oh yeah, the cream rises to the top. Oh yeah. That's my Macho Man impression. Thank you very much. But I don't know why I just did that. You say the word cream and it's like, oh yeah. Have you seen that promo? Great promo.
Cream will rise to the top. Oh yeah.
Anyway, we have the wrestlers, the cream of the crop, and they look good in suits. So who could that be? Ironically, Cody Rhodes would actually be a perfect member of Seth Rollins' Four Horsemen, but I just don't see it happening. It would be cool though, because Cody is so old school, and low-key I think Cody would love the idea of being a horseman. It would just play to his heartstrings because his heart belongs in the old territories of NWA in southern Georgia. But that said, he's a good guy, a face, and he wouldn't be joining with Seth Rollins anytime soon. So who could it be? We got Bron Breakker, we got Seth Rollins, so I would say elite talent. What about AJ Styles? AJ Styles would be a fairly good pick. My only worry with AJ is he's at the tail end of his career, and he said he won't wrestle in his 50s, and I think that only means he has 2 years left, but we could get one solid storyline, 1 2-year storyline for AJ Styles, where maybe at the end of it, he gets kicked out of the faction, and then he fights for the world title on whoever, Seth Rollins probably having it at the point, but right now, we could put AJ Styles in. He definitely has that old school mentality. He's great in the ring. He doesn't really have a story going for him, so why not just team him up with Seth Rollins? And now he's one of the Four Horsemen, because when it came to the Four Horsemen, they were very much individuals, but at the same time they came together as a unit.
They formed this huge conglomerate of stars that nobody could touch.
This isn't the typical faction faction where you have a top guy who's trying to get the other people over. No, everybody in this group, they're kind of already over, and they can just get more over. And besides, if there was a rookie in the group, it would be Bron Breakker. So that's the one who they would need to get over, or at least get into the main event scene. But everybody else, been there, done that. They're just here to help each other and keep control of the landscape. So now we got 3 members of the Horsemen and Paul Heyman. So who would that fourth be? I'm thinking
Out of time, so say goodbye.
what if we did Drew McIntyre? Drew McIntyre would look very dapper in a suit. Plus, I think it would be easy to get Drew in this faction. One, it keeps him very high profile without having to go after a world title, because the main event scene is kind of stacked right now. But it also would play really good into his character in that he could always just say, you know what, I'm just tired of being this lone beacon of truth, and I need some backup. So he joins Seth Rollins, and he's already kind of tried to make a play at Seth Rollins, but
Everybody's fooled but you and I.
Yeah, you think we got like this common cause, that means we're friends, right?
now they come together as the Four Horsemen. I think that would be a great elite talent right there. Drew McIntyre, Seth freaking Rollins, AJ Styles, Bron Breakker, and Paul Heyman as your Four Horsemen. I attempted to do the Shield, by the way. I did attempt to do the Shield, and Bron Breakker would play the part of Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins would play the part of Roman Reigns. No, I'm joking. Of course not. Bron Breakker would be Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins would be Seth Rollins. They would just have a manager. Paul Heyman wouldn't be Dean Ambrose, but that would be kind of sweet if he was. Let's go, Paul. No, so in this scenario, the Shield has a manager. Okay, we just have to do that. So who could be Dean Ambrose? I couldn't really come up with a Dean Ambrose, actually, so maybe Jon Moxley's his contract expires, but honestly, I don't think Jon Moxley will ever come back to WWE. I think he's very stubborn. So, that said, we have to find someone to replace him. I couldn't find anybody that matches the lunatic fringe that Dean Ambrose was. The closest I could come up with was either Tama Tonga, but I feel like he's not over enough. He's not a big enough star to just kind of slide into a Dean Ambrose position next to Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker. So Jacob Fatu,
I'm off the leash now. I'm a go-getter now.
would actually be my next choice, and that would be like unbeatable elite trio right there. But I don't know, Jacob Fatu seems to be doing so good on his own that I don't feel like he needs to be just lumped into a faction, especially just coming out of Bloodline 2.0. So yeah, I just don't think the Shield right now, a new Shield, I don't think it would work. I think we have to stick with the Four Horsemen or Evolution 2.0. So now let's go to Evolution 2.0. We have Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker is going to be your Batista. Seth Rollins is going to be your Triple H. A lot of people have been putting Paul Heyman as the Ric Flair of the group, but I'm not going to do that. I say that this will just, again, it'll be a little different, this Evolution, because Paul Heyman will be its manager, and so we still now need 2 people. We need someone from the past, and we need someone that is the future. If we did the past, I would love it. My number 1 pick would be Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is actually still currently in AEW. He did decide to kind of leave TV for a while, so I don't know if his contract is actually up or not, but I do know that recently in an interview, he did say that...
Would you be more open or less open to going back to WWE?
I enjoyed working there in the past.
And I could probably work there in the future as well. To me, business is business.
It's not only that he's willing to go back to WWE, but he's very open to the idea of going back to the WWE as long as the creative is there, the money is there. Chris Jericho is definitely not as good as he once was. The dude's in his 50s, and he's been pretty much wrestling nonstop since, the 90s. So, like, he's lost a step or two, but that's the beauty of this gimmick. In that, same thing with Ric Flair. Ric Flair had been wrestling nonstop. He had definitely lost a step or two. He was no longer, it wasn't even like he was a little past his prime. He was past his prime, but he could still go. Every once in a while, he could still deliver a banger of a match. And that's what Chris Jericho is right now. Their placement in Evolution would be perfect with where they were and are in their careers right now. So if Chris Jericho, his contract was up in the next 365 days, I would want Chris Jericho to fill in the role of Ric Flair. And you might be like, oh, well, Chris Jericho will just try to steal the spotlight. Well, come on. I mean, that's what Ric Flair, Ric Flair was a guy who was always trying to steal the spotlight, but he was able to work within the confines of Evolution, and we could do that with Chris Jericho as well. Chris could kind of come back maybe as more of that, that really big, wordy, suit-wearing Chris Jericho, or who knows, maybe he brings the list. You just made the list. That would be hilarious.
When you insult my best friend, Kevin Owens, you know what happens? AJ Styles, you just made the list!
Could definitely play the part of Ric Flair, the older statesman who has a lot of knowledge to pass down. If we don't get Chris Jericho because he's just in a contract with AEW, I thought about a couple other people. I know some people have actually said AJ Styles, but see, I don't want AJ Styles or Randy Orton or even John Cena as this Ric Flair person, because these guys are active wrestlers still. And yes, Ric Flair was an active wrestler, but he was well past his prime. Just because AJ Styles might no longer be in his prime doesn't mean he's not still phenomenal, pun intended. The dude is amazing and a rock star still in the ring. If he's not in his prime, he's like one step away from his prime. While Ric Flair and Chris Jericho are they're like 2 or 3 blocks away from their prime. And if that's not an insult, good for them for still being able to wrestle. I can't even bend down sometimes without hurting my back. So I've got no room to talk. So all props to those guys, but I think AJ Styles is too good of condition to be the guy that is past his prime, the older statesman. AJ Styles works in the Four Horsemen, but not in Evolution. So the other person that I would pick, though, Triple H would actually work for this role, with the exception of he can't wrestle because of his heart condition, but I wouldn't want Triple H in it because, well, he's just too busy. Let him do his own thing. He's a behind-the-cameras guy, or a guy who just needs 100 Hall of Fame video packages. That's the extent of Triple H now. So who could it be? If not Triple H, then Booker T. Shucky, quack, quack. Booker T, he already is still part of WWE. The guy can still go in the ring. He's
gonna do it. Booker's gonna go for a dive.
Even though well past his prime, but yeah, I think he has a lot to offer. Plus, he has his own school. Even he's a judge on LFG, WWE LFG, Legends, Futures, and Greats, or Legends and Future Greats, and then he's an announcer on NXT. Great working relationship. Booker T becomes your elder statesman for Evolution 2.0, and he can still go in the ring. He just wrestled Zilla Fatu Umaga's kid,
Putting him in the corner.
So Booker T, when needed, can get in the ring, and he can take a bump. He would be amazing as that role. And you might be like, oh, Booker T is just too loud or too craving the spotlight. Again, that's what this person is supposed to do. It should be an old-timer who, no offense, Booker T, an old-timer who still wants the spotlight. That's why they're there. So those are my 2 picks. Chris Jericho, number 1, Booker T, number 2, for the Ric Flair role in Evolution 2.0. 2.0. Now we go to the rookie part. We already said that Braun Breaker is Batista, so now we need to find a Randy Orton. I mean, we could just get Randy Orton. He's still wrestling. No, we can't do that. Randy Orton is, he's well past the rookie stage of his career. So who could it be? Who could it be? The first choice I would go with is maybe Javon Evans. Javon Evans is in NXT right now. What I like about him is he's super young, 21 years old. When Randy Orton got in this faction, what was he, 22, 23? Super young. And so the sky's the limit for Javon, and the sky's the limit is for Randy Orton. I say no to Javon, though, because I think he's doing a great job just as himself, as a face. Everything he's doing great. I don't think he necessarily needs Evolution 2.0. It would help him, but I don't think he needs it. So let's give it to someone else that could help even more. The next guy that's under 30 would be Oba Femi, but Oba Femi, we already got a big dude in Braun Breaker. We already got our Batista. Oba Femi would be another Batista. We don't need two Batistas, so Oba Femi, I think he could stand on his own as well. So unfortunately, even though I love Oba Femi, no Oba Femi. So now the people that I heard have been Austin Theory and Ethan Page. Both would be great. Ethan Page, though, even though I have seen a little bit of a mean streak, he doesn't make me feel like he's a legend killer. Not yet, at least. Maybe it's the glasses and he just comes across like, I don't know, just this proper guy that I feel like sometimes when I see him enter the screen, it feels like he just got done playing a round of tennis. I feel like he needs a shirt, a little sweater wrapped around his neck or something like that. Ethan Page doesn't give me that legend killer vibe, so I'm not going to put Ethan Page in here. But then again, you could argue that maybe Seth Rollins is going to try to get that out of him. So I'm not saying it would fail. If it was Ethan Page, it would probably work great. But as of right now, I'm saying no to Ethan Page. So then what about Austin Theory? Honestly, Austin Theory would be a great choice. Because while Randy Orton wasn't failing at the time, he had just come back from injury. He wasn't fully succeeding either. He had a long road ahead of him, and he would have been fine. He definitely would have been fine. But Evolution really helped him find his footing. And I could see Austin Theory, who has completely lost his way. Here's a dude that had one of the last storylines with Vince McMahon.
Give me that. What's in that, kid? Austin. Why did you do this?
I just wanted to come in here yesterday and take a selfie with it in your office.
Kill me the selfie.
Beat John Cena at WrestleMania. Had a marquee match, 2 WrestleManias in a row. Won the Money in the Bank. And now he's just kind of like, he's literally losing 1-minute squash matches to hype up someone else's WrestleMania main event. I'm talking about when Jey Uso beat him. It's like, what are we doing with this guy? Is there any potential in him? Is there any potential in him? And if Seth Rollins came and said, yeah, dude, come with me. We're going to get you back to where you need to be. That would save him. So I'm all for an Austin Theory position right here. Although I kind of want someone. Austin Theory doesn't really feel like he looks the part. You know who really looks the part of a young Randy Orton? Ludwig Kaiser.
2025 is going to be the year of Ludwig Kaiser.
Ludwig Kaiser has this really vicious mean streak. He's really skinny and lanky and just tall and just like a punchable face. It's like Ludwig feels right. Ludwig feels like that's the person who it should be, if nothing else but just looks alone. That said, if I had to pick Ludwig or Austin Theory, I'd probably go Austin Theory because Austin Theory is so deep in a hole with his career that it's almost going to take a miracle to get him out of it. So that's an instant turnaround. An instant turnaround if Seth just reaches down that hole and says, let's go Austin Theory. Though, personally speaking, I kind of like Ludwig better. So, I definitely wouldn't mind Ludwig getting in. But that said, Austin Theory's on the younger side. So, I don't know. If we're looking for the future, both could do it. Ludwig Kaiser would be a definitely good choice, but Austin Theory above him. And the other guy that I would pick would be maybe Ricky Saints. Ricky Saints just came into NXT NXT from AEW. He's the North American champion right now. What I like about picking a Javon or a Oba or a Saints would be the fact that we're literally picking somebody from the developmental. If these guys are supposed to be the future, if this fourth person in Evolution 2.0 is supposed to be the future, then why not grab him from NXT? I guess you could say Carmelo Hayes would work there too, but I don't know. Carmelo Hayes doesn't feel like he would fit. Oh, you know what? I got it. I'm sorry, Carmelo Hayes. You're probably gonna have to get used to this, Carmelo Hayes, that Trick Williams is gonna kind of always a little bit overshadow you, but honestly, Trick Williams would be perfect as the next guy in the Evolution faction. Yeah, I'm really liking him. He's kind of tall. He's kind of lanky. Recently he has kind of turned heel. He definitely has an edge to him, and I'm liking Trick Williams with his mean side in NXT. The only thing is, he would have to lose that whoop that trick.
What? Yeah!
And I think that's a really good way to get the crowd involved. When we want to sacrifice Whoop That Trick for a placement in Evolution 2.0, I say yes. We can always come back to Whoop That Trick.
Oh, yeah, man!
But Evolution 2.0 and Trick Williams, it would be perfect for him. He would be perfect. We could get him even meaner. Get that streak even wider, and then we can show him more moves. I know that's one of his criticisms, that he's not as well versatile in the ring as a Carmelo Hayes. Well, someone like Seth Rollins can definitely show him the ropes. That's who I would go with. So if I could pick, if I had my first picks, I would go with, we have Seth, we have Bron Breakker, we have Paul Heyman. Then I would go with Chris Jericho, and or Booker T, and then Trick Williams, and or Austin Theory. So there you have my picks. Please tell me who you would put in the Four Horsemen or Evolution in the comments below. And you boys, you girls, you're the future of wrestling. I appreciate every single one of you. Have a great day.